For the end, I would like to get into the current situation that's going on in Ukraine. There was, during the Bush administration, there was the attack, I believe, in Georgia. During the Obama
they invaded Georgia while
administration.
Bush was president.
Yeah, during
South Ossetia and Abkhazia.
Exactly.
Right.
During the Obama administration, they invited the Crimea area.
Right.
During the Biden, they invited this. During Trump, they didn't invite anything.
Right.
I want to know your honest opinion, because I'm sure there's so many people who hate Trump or whatever. Like, I don't care about that.
I do have an opinion.
we care about facts. You
Right.
know, this happened, and during this period of time,
Right.
nothing happened.
Right.
Why was that?
The reason was uncertainty. So the beauty of strategic messaging is that you can create uncertainty in the mind of your adversary. So with Trump, no one knew what he would do. So with Trump, it was always a case of massive uncertainty of what he would do. And everybody saw what he did with ISIS. Everybody thought he would handle ISIS the same way Obama handled ISIS, which was essentially managing to the best they could, incrementally, you know, pushing ISIS back. He had a very, micromanagerial style with his combatant commander and with the battlefield commanders, where they had to get permission to kill somebody, for example, a high-level guy, or you know, in a certain town to conduct a raid in a certain town. They had to get permission all the time. What Trump did was just Trump gave it to the combatant commander and gave the brigade commanders, you get to decide if you have this target of opportunity, if you have this option, if you see the bad guys up there on the hill, you're allowed to shoot them without calling back to Washington, D.C. So he untied the hands of the warfighters. And within, I forget, didn't take very long. ISIS, it's not hard to win a war.
I remember before 2016, ISIS was something that people were so afraid of. Like, there were so many videos going on the internet when they are like beheading people, when they are killing people. And then all of a sudden, that dude from reality show got into TV and said, hey, journalists, like, just bomb the shit out of them or whatever.
Right.
And I don't know.
Well, he says that, but that's not what they did.
I know.
Yeah. But that's the idea, is to destroy them.
But all of a sudden, this stuff become a thing in the mainstream media for some reason. You know, for years you could hear from 2014 to 2016. I pretty much seen every day just ISIS news, like what's going on, how they're taking over they take over this.
The
city.
Caliphate is growing, blah, blah, blah.
But all of a sudden, just silent, and we had to deal if Donald Trump banged some porn star. You know, that was the main headline. By the way, what you just mentioned, the leadership, that's exactly the book. Like distance. I don't even know how to disconnect command or something like this, because you are not in the battlefield and you cannot know everything. The guys out there have to know what is there in their capabilities, what they can figure out in the situation.
They have to be able to visualize the battlefield. And the battlefield is more than just a battlefield. The battlefield is the environment. It's the people. It's the towns. It's the culture of that town versus the culture of this town. You're trying to orchestrate everything in such a way that you can win over the people that are on the fence and kill the bad guys. Actually, that's the big difference. You know, under Obama with ISIS, we thought we could just kill the leaders, you know, but that's not how that culture works. If you kill that leader, then there's another leader. So sometimes, unfortunately, the way you defeat an enemy is you destroy them. So that's kind of what Trump did. And you allow those combatant commanders to basically communicate to the people in their battle space, you know, in their operating environment, you know, what they're going to do and when they're going to do it. And people side with winners. So if they think you're going to win, you know, in Iraq, we're just another tribe.
Yeah, sure.
You know, we're just another tribe.
Winning tribe.
So if they want to be with a winner, if they think you're going to win, they're going to come your way. If they think you're just going to put them at risk, they are going to sit on the fence. If you do something bad to them, then you push them over to the dark side. So going back to Ukraine is bad because of the strategic messaging. Every time President Biden says, we won't do this and we won't do that and we won't do this and we, you know, whatever. You pick your example. All that does is green light more escalation on the part of Russia, on the part of Vladimir Putin. We've eliminated uncertainty for him. He knows that he can do almost anything without any risk of any NATO forces jumping in and risking a wider war. And he knows by saying, oh, I put my nuclear forces on high alert, he knows that the nations in NATO will all become paralyzed with fear. He knows that they will, you know, stand off. You know, he knows that they will. There are ways around that, that what we need are people that can think out of the box. Like Trump, obviously, thunk out of the box, right? He was able to, like, with the peace agreements between Israel and those other Arab countries.
That was also very exceptional, right?
Very exceptional. So he was able to get people to think outside the box, and that's what you need here. You have to think of ways. For example, I could suggest an idea. So in 1994, we signed the Budapest Agreement. The Great Britain, the United States, and Russia guaranteed the territorial sovereignty of Ukraine if they gave up their 300 nuclear weapons. So why not use a UN brokered agreement? Just the UK, just the United States, not the rest of NATO, under a UN flag, provide support and protection for the people of Ukraine. Because we signed the document guaranteeing the security of Ukraine, and now we're not doing anything. So if you really wanted...
just paper.
It was just a piece of paper to the people who signed it. And frankly, why didn't we listen? You know, I'm not a pro-Russian guy by any stretch of the imagination, but James Baker and Clinton and those guys, they guaranteed Russia that NATO would not expand to the east. Now, if I'm Estonia, I want to be in NATO. I feel safer in NATO. If Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, you know, you name it, Czech Republic, you know, you feel better in NATO because of your history. But on the other hand, there comes a point where...
How much is too much, right?
How much, right. What is the point where you create too much consternation? Now, on the other hand, Putin says things like, we're being surrounded by NATO, which is a lie in the sense that, yeah, NATO has countries around them. And they'll say something like, oh, there are American forces in Estonia. Well, normally what, 100 guys, right? 100 guys in Estonia, you know, an infantry company that rotates in and out, you know. So in a way, it's true, but it's a lie. Yeah. So he says it to the Russian people to galvanize them, to get support. But 100 infantry guys, light infantry guys from the United States are not a threat to the Russian Federation.